Hey everyone, welcome to Introduction to Sketching number 2. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about materials and mediums and my personal favorites. And then I'm going to walk through the difference between perspective and orthographic projection really quickly and how that might help you out with your sketching this week. And then I'm going to go quickly through sketching objects and landforms from your brain space when you're doing design at home, as well as sketching from sight. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about de-skilling as a method to make your drawings less precise and kind of avoid that impulse to make things look really perfect. Okay, so to begin, I'll show you what I would typically carry around with me. So this is it. I don't take much. Number one for sure for me is a black ballpoint pen. I don't typically use pencils. The pen I find I can make really nice light construction lines with. So I like to stick to pen. And then a Sharpie can really come in handy. If I've got a lot of construction lines going on with my pen, I can outline the final form in Sharpie and make it pop a little bit more. So I usually have these two things on me. Next, I sometimes have a couple of colored micron liners, and here I've got blue and green, which can be nice to show water and vegetation, but honestly, when I'm sketching, I don't really mind things not being the same color they are in real life. So if I had red and orange, that would do just as well for me to depict water. Not super picky. And these are really nice for annotation as well. I really like having a color for annotation because it kind of lifts it off the paper and brings it a little bit above the drawing, helping distinguish the two kind of languages that you're using. I sometimes have a gray marker with me just for some odd shading. I don't use them too often though. And then in addition to the gray, sometimes I'll grab like just another random colored alcohol marker. These are really nice. They blend, so they're good for using for shading, coloring stuff in, highlighting, and they blend nicely with one another as well. So I definitely recommend getting a few of these if you think you're going to like using markers. And then of course having one straight edge is always nice. I really like this one. It's a really narrow 6-inch ruler, so it's super easy to carry around with me. It fits in my smallest pencil case. So yeah, these are the things that I would typically have on me if I was going out to draw. And if anything else, I pretty much always have these two. Okay, so to get started, let's talk about perspective and orthographic projection. So I'm sure you've probably heard the term perspective before. It is basically the way that things appear to us in real life. So the farther things get away from us, the smaller they get. So the prototypical kind of view for that is looking at a road on the horizon. So these two lines get closer together, the road gets narrower, and then if we've got some posts here, they get smaller as you get farther away. The same thing goes for if we're looking at a three-dimensional view. So now we've got these three lines, which are all actually getting closer together the farther they go in that direction, farther away from us. So if you kept going and projected them out, they would actually all end up meeting at a vanishing point somewhere over there. And then the same thing goes, maybe I'll use my blue marker here, same thing goes for these three lines here. The farther away from us they go, the closer they get, and they would eventually all meet at a vanishing point somewhere out in the distance there. So when you put those things together and you put them all into a three-dimensional object, you get something that looks really close to how we would see it in real life. So you can see that coming into play in this really simple chair drawing I've done here. So we've started off with a bit of a box to just create the overall shape of it. So now we've got this form, we're projecting up through the back here for a backrest. And so this form actually pretty closely resembles the box that we've drawn here, but we're now applying it to an object that we're drawing. Same with this perspective, is really similar to that landscape. We're using this diminishing angle for the seat. And so perspective drawing is really good for if you want to do something that is illustrative, that shows how something might appear in the real world. Using these and populating them with people shows how a space might feel. Whereas orthographic projection, which is basically a two-dimensional representation where you get rid of all perspective, is really good for showing dimensions. So the same chair viewed from the front. If you view it flat on, you wouldn't be able to see any of the seat. You would only see this kind of front edge here. And so that's what's shown here. Viewed from the side, again, you wouldn't see the seat. And then viewed from the top, all you would see is the seat and the backrest. Of course, you wouldn't see the legs because they're hidden under here. So orthographic projection is really good for if you want to create measured drawings or give yourself measurements. Maybe you want to show like the width. And so when you go to site and you're doing sketches, I think probably a lot of you, because you aren't expected to do any dimensioning or anything like that, drawing in perspective is going to serve you a little bit better for this project, but it is good to know how to do both, depending on kind of what your outcome is for your drawing.